Leland Vittert, host of On Balance, who will be co-anchoring NewsNation's live coverage tonight, joining me right now. First, I have to say good morning. Second, I know you've been reporting on the January 6th investigation for quite some time. Whether Republican or Democratic response is the focus here, isn't it so rare that a high-profile production of a hearing like this is happening at all?
Unprecedented, as were the events of January 6th, and we all knew it when we were there at the Capitol that day. Never before in prime time have we had congressional hearings, and never before have we had things that were called hearings that were television shows. Obviously, Supreme Court confirmation hearings are political theater. You could argue the Watergate hearings, political theater, the McCarthy hearings, political theater, but they were hearings in the traditional sense of you have a witness and you have members of Congress asking the witness questions, and you go back and forth with that witness for periods of time. Then you get a new witness, then you get another witness. That's not what we're going to see today. This is, as Allison rightly pointed out, a made-for-TV special that is going to have various parts to it. It's going to have live interviews, much like your show, Adrienne, and then it's going to have highly produced segments of video that are going to be sent out for broadcast. And then it's going to have parts of video that were interviews that the committee's done with other people, what we would refer to as long sound bites or packages that have been put together, all to sort of build this case along. So unprecedented, probably 4 or 5 different ways.
In terms of the timing, 5 months out from the midterm elections, is that questionable?
Well, everything in Washington's questionable, and everything in Washington has to be viewed through a political lens, as much as you'd hope that an investigation into what happened in January 6th would be apolitical. This certainly is about as political as you get. July and August, people are gone and aren't really paying attention because of summer break. September and October are taken up with campaigning for the midterm. So this is really Democrats' last chance before they almost certainly lose control of the House. The other thing to think about and to watch for is how much of this is about specifically what happened on January 6th, who inspired it, and who was directly involved in planning not simply a protest, which we know is something that happens every day in America, but specifically the unprecedented part, which was going into the Capitol. Look for how much of the hearing is about that and how much of the hearing is about tying that to Republicans at all. To go back to your question of timing, how much of this is about what happened on January 6th and how much of this is saying Republicans don't believe in democracy, therefore vote for Democrats in November?
Well, it's interesting, just the makeup of this committee. You have 2 Republicans, both very anti-former President Trump, and a host of Democrats. And is that something that should be taken into consideration for the American people?
Right. You always have to take into consideration who's giving you the information and what their motivations are. You rightly point out Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, the only 2 Republicans on the committee, are both vehemently anti-Donald Trump. It sort of goes probably to the issue of fairness in that in America, you are entitled to a defense, even if everybody believes you to be guilty, that you are entitled to a vehement defense. And President Trump and his supporters were denied that by the committee. There were Trump supporters who were put forth by the Republicans to be on the committee, and the committee and Nancy Pelosi said no. So you take that and now say, okay, will Trump supporters and even sort of Trump skeptics, shall we say, who are Republicans, who like Donald Trump, who think January 6th is awful, are they going to take what the committee says seriously and internalize it and believe it without seeing or hearing the other side, or without knowing the committee had the other side represented?
Yeah, because you can't take his name out of these January 6th investigations. There was a new NBC poll out just days ago saying that fewer Americans believe that former President Trump is responsible for January 6th, 45% versus 52% who believed he was to blame back in 2021. Is American interest waning in this case? And not just among Republicans, among all Americans. They have bigger fish to fry.
It's a great point. If you go talk to folks and say, hey, what are your big concerns right now? Gas prices, the cost of food, the border, crime in America. there's not a lot outside of the political class who will offer up that January 6th is a big concern. Now, there's a baked in a feeling of unease in America, and the events of January 6th certainly contribute to that, as does the partisanships continuing to surround the events of January 6th are baked in to that unease. So that's the committee's challenge. I think Allison pointed out very rightly, is to convince a certain percentage of Americans who have completely moved on and don't really care, A, that their investigation was fair, B, that their investigation came up with things that were new and relevant, and C, that those new and relevant things are important going forward for the American people to know and to act upon. Yeah. That's a very high bar, and considering how much is already leaked out of this committee, it's pretty easy to question whether or not they have the goods. If the leaks are any indication, they're still looking for those three things.
Leland Vittert, thank you so much for waking up early. I know you pull some long nights, and I know you're going to pull one tonight, too.
At your service.
Thank you very much, sir. Leland will anchor our live coverage of the hearing starting at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight, and look for complete reports tomorrow right here on Morning in America. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.